This video is for anyone who spins poi and is struggling with getting blisters over here or over here. My favorite technique, your mileage may vary, is to use this particular tape. I've tried many tapes over the years. I like this one because it has the right amount of thickness to be pretty thin on your skin, and it also has a flexibility to it. This is Johnson & Johnson Coach tape. It comes in, and this is 1.75 inches wide. Then what it comes in other widths. This is the width that I use because I can't actually find one that's the exact width of this particular joint. So what I do is I take a scissors and I cut it at about the middle, and then I separate it and I make a piece about this long. Now this one's too wide for that joint, but it would be okay on this joint. And this one is good for that joint. And you want to try and have that be the case. Then taking a piece of tape. So if your blister is developing here, you want to tape this part. If your blister is developing here, you want to tape this part. If your blister is developing here, you want to tape this part. But in my experience, taping over the joint makes it really hard for you to have mobility with the finger. So what I recommend is that you bend the finger like this, then apply the tape to whichever joint is appropriate. And in my experience, what works best is if you apply it as loosely as possible for it to be firm without being too tight. And the reason I say you want to engage your finger like this is because your finger actually changes shape. So my experience has been that if I bend my finger first, it really helps. So this joint, in my experience, isn't as big a deal as this joint. This is the one that's really tricky because you can get it stuck. You can get it too thick here or too thick on that side. So when you do this one, you want to be sure to be in between the two bends. So you're going to have to put it on this part, then bend the finger and get it around the rest. Also, pro tip, you want to try and not have this part where it overlaps be where your poi is rubbing. So this one, not so great. This one, that's better. And then you're going to have to play with it to find out what works best for you. So depending on the size of your fingers, if you have smaller fingers than I do, you may need it to be even narrower than this. And then what I recommend is that you start out your practice with nothing on your fingers. And then at the point where it starts getting really sore, that's when you cover your fingers and you keep practicing the rest of that practice with it covered so that it doesn't chafe too much. And then next practice, when you go back to the mat, again, start without any covering on it and then cover it as the pain increases. And this will actually help reduce the inflammation through time, and it will help you build up your calluses because you'll be getting it to the point right before it blisters, then you cover it up, then it heals a little, then you get it to the point right before it blisters, and then you cover it up. This can also work pretty well with Coban if you have that instead of athletic tape. Let me know if you have any questions.